Okay, welcome everybody to this video. Today I am going to be describing to you all my experience with Minecraft SMPs, and I'm going to be doing live drawings, so yay. Anyways, let us begin. So it all started out when I decided, hey, you know what? I want to look for an SMP. So I searched up SMPs I can join and found this ad for an SMP called Content SMP. So I joined it and I somehow got in without even making an application, which I think they were just accepting anyone into the SMP because it was very small and it was Bedrock and Java, so they weren't going to get that many players from the get-go. But I made a team with one friend from another server whose name is Ducky, now called Ash, and now called blah blah blah. He changes his name so frequently. And then this dude named Orc. So we all became a team. Then we gained this person named Lining, and then this person named Lyric. So, and we all were a happy team together until Orc just decided to be evil here and go and kill some random guy who turned out to be just member of literally a team comprising of literally everyone, including the two server owners here, and they they abused their op powers. We we were being hunted down like prey, and it was just madness. Eventually, we didn't trust each other enough. Our base got blew up, so we separated from Orc and from Lyrical. So it was just me, Lining, and Ducky left. But in the end, our base got found, and both of them were kind of murdered. So it was really just me left here, all alone and sad, I guess. Yes. But I was later found out by the enemy team and put to death. And that's the entire story of Content SMP. But what happens next? Well, afterwards, my friend Orc showed me a new SMP to join called the Strat SMP. And if you look on my YouTube, it's actually one of my most popular videos somehow, despite it being very low quality. Then again, it only has 61 views, so makes perfect sense. Anyways, everything that everything major that happened, I joined. There was a Juggernaut dude who was insanely powerful and had full netherite and on a Bedrock SMP full of mobile players. And he stole all my stuff and murdered me. Yeah, I'm very ignorant, and I learned absolutely nothing from these past two experiences. But now we start getting a little smooth. Not in the weird way, but we actually get into a really cool SMP called Cards SMP. The entire thing is that whenever you spawn in, you get a random amount of cards or a random card, each one having their own buffs and debuffs, mainly buffs, but you can only activate them through kills. Now, when I joined, I ended up getting the Fusion card, which turned out to be the most OP card on the server. But once the owners realized that, they gave me the Vampire card, which was one of the most useless cards ever for a person who's not good at PvP, and two, just very peaceful, which was me, of course, because most of it relied on siphon abilities. And we all know that at the time, of course, this was when I first got my computer, and yes, this is a Java SMP. I was not good at PvP because I hardly knew how to play. Anyways, back on track here. I opened a detective agency and I was chilling. But all of a sudden, war broke out and I became a victim of the war and I died. But somewhere along the way, I met a cool dude named Frenfro who was like, "Yo, you want to join this SMP? Me and a friend have been working on." And I was like, "Yes, I will like to join." So that is how I joined Trident SMP. The whole thing is just that it's a normal survival SMP with no mods at all except for proximity chat, which was mind-blowing to me because that was the first time I ever used proximity chat in my life. And I finally knew how to use Minecraft mods. Good for me. Anyways, I myself was very cool and very chill in the starting days. I I teamed with this really chill dude named King Abyssal, and we were good friends. And yeah, we also became team with this dude named Audius, and we called ourselves the Peacelanders because we were peaceful and yeah, we became an entire nation at that point. But then this dude named Cosmic came along and started murdering all of us without reason. And we were upset because literally this was within the first 3 days of the SMP. Anyways, a few days later, we are approached by Friend Fro, I mentioned him earlier, and then his teammate LaFault. So both of them come up and they're like, "Yo, you guys are kind of weak. We're gonna kill you." So they killed me, but we realized earlier they were the ones who killed Audius when he was on his way from a really far away place to going to our base, which was right at spawn. And then after they murdered me, they decided to go after King Abyssal. Well, King Abyssal stood up to them, but King Abyssal ended up dying in the end. After all this, we we were left with hardly anything here left. So we went out, got some more gear, but then we realized, wait, we don't have any rules, no set boundaries, no set borders. So we started making laws and we set a border for our entire nation, which was just the entirety of Spawn. And so eventually Frenfro came to us yet again and was like, "Yo, so my teammate betrayed me. Could I like join you guys?" And like we interviewed him, it turned it out he really wanted peace, so we shook hands and we said, "Yeah, yeah, we'll peace, we'll peace." So he joined the Peacelands. And then afterwards, LaFault came up to me and was like, "Yo, so I fought with my teammates and I kinda wanna be good now." So we shook hands as well, and he joined us. So now everything was chill and everything was just fine. And then the whole server ended because budget cuts. That's the literal only reason. And then afterwards, we were all called back, the original cast with some new faces for Trident SMP 2. Or, or well, reboot actually, because it wasn't actually called 2. It was just still Trident SMP. It was just a reboot. Anyways, me, Frenfro, and Abyssal realized that we were a good team together, and we all decided, yo, we should totally team up this time. And we did that, and we had a blast. We all just became good, peaceful people, And that is when a really, really bad thing happened. This dude named Cyan King came along and started stealing all my stuff. And now I was very angry about this, so I retaliated with murder. But whenever I did murder him, his teammate Breezy came along, and he is one of, if not the best, PvPers on Trident SMP Reap. So he murdered me as revenge, and I was upset. Then I realized that Frenfro and Abyssal had secretly betrayed me, and they just left me. And I was pretty upset about this. But all's well that ends well. Breeze came along, was like, "Yo, you look like you're in need. Here, take this cool thing. It's a Breeze trim. Uh, yeah, 'cause apparently some point along the way they added the trims mod where like every armor trim gives you an ability, and he gave me the Breeze thing, which just gave me double jump abilities, and yeah, I was satisfied with that. And anyways, I left. Renfro and Breezy came along and were like, "Yo, you want to join this brand new SMP we're working on? It's called Scrolls SMP." And I was like, "Yeah, sounds like fun." So we all got on. Me and Frenfro teamed yet again because we're just chill like that, and nothing notable happened. It was just peaceful. Me and Frenfro said our goodbyes to each other, and we went our separate ways after that. But before long, things happened yet again. I was invited to yet another SMP that was called the the Embers SMP. Basically, every time you join in, you get a random ember. There was fire, water, earth, turtle, something, something, blah, blah, blah. But all of them were intricately designed and basically not intricately designed. All they did was give you three different power ups and three abilities. Also a passive. And and before joining, I was DM'd by Cyan King with him saying, "Yo, want to team up?" And I was like, "Sure, sounds good." So we became teammates. But on this SMP, I wanted to become evil, evil cheetah. So I came up with the whole scheme of just wanting nether stuff just everywhere. And oh how wrong I was. Whenever we did join, I ended up getting the perfect the actual perfect ember for this. And it was the fire ember, and then he got the immortality thing. But who cares? Basically, both of us had my passive was that I was immune to lava. He had no passive, but one of his abilities, and I'm pretty sure his only ability, made it so that he was completely invincible. But anyways, after this, we went to spawn and met with this dude. I forgot his name, but he wanted to join us. So we were like, okay, yeah, come join us. But halfway through, I was like, how do we know you're not going to betray us? And it turned out, and he said, you know what, you don't. And then showed his true colors and killed me while I was trying to cover for Cyan King, and I ended up dying, and I was very upset. So I carried on with my life and just threw in the towel at that point. So we both practically left, but on my way out, I met this cool dude named Saber. He's a chill dude, and we became good friends. So much so that I was invited to yet another SMP filled with the exact same friend group, just a bit different. So it was me, Saber, and some other dude. We were really good friends. But then this dude named Zenith came along and just wanted to absolutely obliterate us. So he did. And then afterwards, I decided, no, I cannot stand for this. He goes against peace. And so I just tried my best to murder him nonstop. But then this dude and Saber both were like, if you want peace, don't do it this way. Violence isn't peace. So they both ended up leaving my team, and it was just me alone, sadly. But I ended up pillaring up and jumping off of a pillar from Skylimit into a pool of lava. And afterwards, I became Ghost Games. I was a ghost. And I was like, I see ya. And I said just a crazy quote while I was falling to my death. You want to know what it was? It was a good run. And that was it. That really was it. So, funny thing is, I get invited to another SMP called Paranoia, where essentially there's just a bunch of horror mods on there. And yes, it's again a Bedrock SMP, but it's filled to the brim with horror mods. It was basically the entire concept. So I built my base up at spawn and things were chilling. I then later created this group called Array, which was meant as I'm trying to remember now. Oh yeah, entity removal and eradication. That's literally the name of it. But apparently there was an uprising for people who wanted to join the entities, and we were not having this, and we were just very mad. But before anything had happened, literally the SMP is still going on to this day, and nothing has happened since. But there was also a team full with like this dude named Carried Fan, this dude named Banana, and then this dude. Hold up, I don't want to draw Banana like that. This dude named Banana, he was chill, and then some other people who are background characters. But anyways, they decided to hunt down these guys. So I decided to try and partner with them. Did not work. So yeah, this plot line is still to be continued. But anyways, on I got invited to another SMP. This was after Scrolls SMP, like right at the end of my part, which was like the very beginning of Scrolls. So this person this person named Robin came up to me and was like, "Yo, you seem cool. You want to join this SMP I've been working on?" And when I was like, "Okay, I will," because at the time this Robin person was in an SMP I really wanted to get into, and I felt like getting a close connection with this person would score me a better chance of getting into said SMP. And so I joined. And this is one of the craziest parts ever that I have went through. So I remember Carried Fan from Paranoia. Well, me and him found out that we're really cool with each other, so we decided to team up as friends. And we decided, hey, let's be peace. let's just do our best to be peaceful on literally a lifesteal based server with bloodthirsty people who were hungry for the netherite armor set that was literally being held in front of them by the owner, Robin. So me and Carried Fan were chill, but it turned out he ended up dying to a pillager, which is very very sad. And I was very upset by this, and I didn't know what to do with myself. But it turns out that our base ended up getting raided, and I lost all my stuff. So I was very sad about this, and decided to move to spawn. But then this dude named Skittle came along and looted and started stealing from my chest. I was like, no, I'm not gonna have that. So I ended up killing him. This turned out really bad because his teammate, Flashy Stalin, came along and murdered me like 3 times, stealing my hearts. And then Skittle came along and gave me a gash in the eye as as a way of reminding me of that, of never to mess with him. And this made me very sad. So I contacted a very certain someone named Banana, a very certain Banana, and I was like, "Hey, I'm kind of done with this, so here's like literally all my hearts and items. Um, I'm gonna jump off this sky limit pillar now. Goodbye." And that's how politics ended. Yeah. I was very upset at the end of it that it didn't go entirely according to plan, but I was indeed planning to end my own life at some point or another. But it's fine. It's fine. It truly is fine. Anyways, this is where things get little obscure. That's right, boys. I joined Obscure SMP, the biggest Bedrock SMP of all time currently, and hopefully for the foreseeable future. Anyways, I joined. I I was very ecstatic because I was trying to get into this SMP for like half a year at this point. Ever since I got into content, like before I even got into content SMP, I was wanting to get into obscure SMP and was making applications nonstop to try and get in. But I eventually got in. So I set up a base at spawn, not too close to spawn, but not too far from spawn. It was like somewhere close to be like in like the border of spawn, and I called it the cliffs. Anyways, I ended up getting it put into a meeting with Banana, who was like, "Yo, I'm a kind of take you over to my base called Paradise. It's at like 100 blocks out from spawn. So let's go." So I went with him to this paradise, and it was a very well established nation with not that much actually, but it had villagers, which I thought, man, this place is rich. Anyways, it turned out that Carried Fan was also here, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know this guy. So we were just being living there, making sure that we don't do anything to make Banana angry, otherwise he might kill us or something. I don't know really what he would do, but I decided to eventually run away from Paradise because I was just tired with Banana and his shenanigans. So I decided to go out into the middle of nowhere But before I could do that, I went through spawn and saw that Carried Fan was getting beat up by this very bad team led by this person called Hazelcoin, who wore a Shadow the Hedgehog skin. And I was upset, so I called a meeting with Carried Fan. We met together, and I was like, "Yo, why don't you like come join me, and we could be like a team?" He was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm cool with that." So we journeyed off a little over 1,000 blocks away from spawn in a direction I'm still to this day not willing to talk about, even though very certain things have happened. So we arrived at the place and decided to call it Exile because Carried Fan was exiled from Hazelcoin's entire nation he was building right next to spawn called Phoenixburg, and I was exiled because I just wanted to be left alone. So we were chill, but thing is, after a while, Carried Fan came up to me like, "Hey, um, join. I want you to join this team with me that comprises of Hazel, Banana, and a couple of others." Now, when I heard those two names, I was like, "What? Why?" One, Banana kind of mistreated us and abandoned the literal nation he built. And two, like Hazelcoin is just the bad guy of the server. He wants to destroy everything. And Carried Fan was like, "Nah, I'm done with peace. I want to cause chaos, but I with my stupid child brain still wanted to be peaceful." So we ended up fighting each other, which ended up with me dying yet again. And this time I was left with an even bigger gash on my head. It was like about that big, and I was like, screw it, I'm doing something I've never done before. Boom, green fire over my eye. And this led to one of my coolest design changes ever in Minecraft, of course. But as time went on, I missed being in a team with someone and missed just hanging out with someone and being cool, and like I still wanted to be friends with someone and just find somewhere to live. So I reached out to a friend of mine whose name is Kuro Mary, and they're a very chill person, and let me let me join them and live at their base, hidden within a certain area of the SMP, which I refuse to talk about because I'm still living there. But aside from that, everything was chill now, and after a while, my face began to heal again, so all that was left was another scar, while my scar from Skittle has completely disappeared. Don't know why, but that's just the way it is. But that's practically all that really happened. And right now, I am working on something big on Obscure. But who knows what it could be? It could be anything, really. You'll just have to wait and find out, I guess. Because I'm gonna change this server one way or another. But before that, I'll do a little fun thing for everyone. But I'm not disclosing that yet. But anyways, guys, if if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It would really help me out as I am just a beginner creator, and I myself just really appreciate it when you guys do really cool stuff like watching my videos. It means a lot to me. And also, if you're really interested in the specifics of what happened, go on ahead, go over to my YouTube channel, open up the live stream section, and watch all the live streams if you really want to, or just skim through them. It's really up to you guys what happens. But anyways, that's really all from me. And I will be seeing you guys hopefully in the foreseeable future. So, this is Cheetah Games. Make sure to like and subscribe, or else you're gonna turn into a Goomba.